All right, welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into AI and how it's changing the world of dating and relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really, the big question we want you to kind of consider as we go through all of this is: are these technologies really helping us connect better, or are they kind of actually contributing to a sense of loneliness?
You know, that's really the core question, isn't it? I mean, we're diving into this whole discussion around digital hearts, AI dating apps, love or loneliness. And we're looking at everything from, these sophisticated algorithms that are now trying to play matchmaker to these, these AI companions that are, really kind of changing the game. So what does this all mean for human connection?
Yeah, and so our goal today is to really unpack all the nuances of this role that AI is playing in dating and relationships. We want to kind of paint a clear picture for you of what's happening right now. Yeah. And we also want you to just think critically about both the potential benefits and the potential drawbacks. Right. For forming meaningful relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I think starting off, it's pretty important to recognize that the world of dating apps, I think, is something that a lot of people are familiar with.
Absolutely.
But the way these platforms operate is changing rapidly.
Yeah.
We're moving beyond just basic matching, like shared interests. And now we're seeing this really intricate use of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing the big players like Tinder and Bumble using machine learning. Right. And it's basically like, think of it like how, your streaming service kind of starts to learn the kind of music you like.
Exactly.
But they're applying that to people. Yeah. So they're analyzing your past interactions, who you've swiped right on, who you've shown interest in.
And the patterns.
And identifying these patterns to basically come up with better matches for you.
Yeah, right. It's taking that kind of guesswork out of it for you, theoretically.
In theory, yeah.
But then it gets even more interesting. You have these newer platforms coming out like Teaser AI or Keeper.
Right.
And they're really making some pretty big claims about being able to understand compatibility on a much deeper level.
Deeper than ever before.
Yeah. They're saying, forget just looking at surface level stuff. We could actually go deeper and look at things like how your voice patterns might actually indicate whether you're confident or anxious. Wow. In a conversation. Or, how your values actually align with a potential partner.
Interest.
Through natural language processing. And then even something as simple as...
I was going to say, like, how deep are we talking here?
Well, even like your stance on pineapple on pizza is being presented as this, data point to really kind of dig deep into who you are as a person.
That's so wild. So it sounds like almost science fiction, but really it's just that these AI systems are processing so much data.
It's massive amounts of data.
About you.
It's everything from your hobbies to your messaging style. Even the amount of time you spend looking at a certain profile can feed into this algorithm.
So the argument for this, and it does make sense to a degree, it's about efficiency.
It is. The idea is to, cut through all of that swiping. And find someone who aligns with you on this deeper level.
Right. And also save you time and energy.
Yeah. Theoretically, you're not wasting time.
You're not going to go on a date with someone.
Right.
And then realize like, oh my gosh, we have nothing in common.
Yeah. I mean, they're shifting away from, just stated preferences in your profile to these inferred preferences based on how you're actually behaving on the app.
Right.
Which, could be more accurate, but it's also a little bit more opaque.
Yeah. It's kind of creepy in a way.
A little bit.
Yeah. But the big counter argument here, it's a big one, is can you really boil something as complicated as romantic connection down to a set of data points?
I know. It really makes you question.
Yeah.
Can love really be quantified?
Yeah. And does it also take away some of the magic of romance?
Exactly.
The surprise of the unexpected, spark.
Spontaneity of it all.
Yeah.
What's interesting is we looked into what some of the people who are developing these technologies are saying. Right. And we came across a statement from a CEO of a dating app.
Okay.
And they said their goal was to curate opportunities for chemistry, but not to replace it.
So it's like they're trying to just create the right conditions.
Right. It's like setting the stage, but not directing the play.
Right. But it does make you wonder, are we maybe outsourcing too much of that initial discovery process?
Right. And that initial discovery is often unpredictable.
Absolutely.
That's where the serendipity comes in.
Right.
And if our potential partners are being so precisely selected for us, are we missing out on those chance encounters?
That sometimes lead to, these really profound connections.
Okay. Right. So we've talked about algorithms trying to, play Cupid.
Right.
Let's move into something that's maybe even more novel and perhaps even more strange to some people. AI companionship.
This is where things start to get really interesting.
Yeah.
It's where AI starts to really get into our personal lives.
Yeah.
And I think it causes a lot of fascination and maybe some unease as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're seeing the emergence of these AI companion apps like Replika.
Yeah.
And romantic AI.
Yeah, these are basically platforms that are allowing users to develop relationships with chatbots.
Exactly. And these aren't just, your typical chatbots.
No.
These AI are capable of remembering details about your life.
Right.
They can have these ongoing, natural-sounding conversations.
They can offer support.
Exactly.
And even flirt with you.
Yeah, a little bit of digital romance.
Right.
And, for some people, this can be a real source of connection. I imagine for somebody who is lonely or struggling with social anxiety, or going through, a breakup or a loss,
right,
this could be really appealing.
It's that non-judgmental listening ear that's always there for you. To give you an idea of how this can play out, we actually spoke with someone who has firsthand experience with AI companionship.
Okay.
A user named Sarah who shared her thoughts about using an AI companion after a breakup.
Let's hear what Sarah has to say.
Okay.
After my breakup, I felt so isolated. My AI companion didn't judge me. It's comforting, but sometimes I wonder, am I avoiding real connection?
Wow. I mean, it's interesting because on the one hand, it sounds like it was comforting for her.
It was.
And it offered her, companionship when she needed it.
Right. And it didn't judge her.
But at the same time, she's questioning, is this actually hindering her from forming real connection?
Is this a crutch?
Yeah.
Is it preventing her from going out and finding those real connections?
Right. And it's not just anecdotal evidence. There are actual studies looking into this.
Yeah. They're finding that while these interactions can provide some short-term relief from loneliness, there's a lot of psychologists who are concerned that people might become overly reliant on these positive, conflict-free interactions.
And what happens then?
Well, the worry is that it might actually stunt their emotional growth. Because in the real world, relationships aren't always easy.
Right.
They require compromise, and they require us to work through conflict.
And what they're saying is that if you don't have those experiences, you're not developing.
You're not growing
those muscles.
Yeah, and it really makes you think. Yeah. If we have this option of an AI partner who's always available, perfect doesn't disagree with us.
Right.
Are we going to lose the ability to actually handle the complexities of a real human relationship?
It's a really important question. I mean, because relationships, they have their ups and downs, and they require work.
They do.
And if you don't experience that, you don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the heart of our discussion today.
The big debate.
The great debate. Love versus loneliness in this age of AI dating.
Right. So we need to approach this with balance.
We do.
And look at both sides.
Absolutely.
The potential benefits.
Right.
And the very real drawbacks.
Yeah.
So let's start with the arguments for love, or at least for AI helping people connect.
Okay.
One big one is that it can actually help people in marginalized groups find each other and form communities.
Right.
Think about LGBTQ plus individuals living in areas where they might not feel accepted.
Right.
Or busy professionals who just don't have time.
Right.
For traditional social interaction.
Yeah, their schedules are just packed.
Yeah.
These platforms can really broaden their options.
Absolutely. They can, they can cast a wider net.
Exactly.
And help them find people they might not have met otherwise.
Yeah, maybe people who are outside their immediate geographic location.
Right. Or their social circles.
Right, exactly.
And then there's the argument that these platforms could actually act as a kind of training ground.
Okay, like a sandbox.
Yeah, sandbox for people who have social anxiety.
Okay.
So they can practice
right.
communicating.
In a low stakes environment.
Right, and experiment with, how they express themselves.
Exactly.
Before they go out into the real world.
It's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in the pool.
But then we need to also consider the other side of the coin.
Right.
The arguments that suggest that these technologies might actually be contributing to more loneliness.
Okay.
And one of the biggest concerns here is passivity.
Okay.
If algorithms are constantly serving up potential partners,
Right.
are we going to stop being proactive?
Yeah. Are we going to stop putting in the effort
Yeah.
to go out and meet people in the real world?
And are we going to start thinking like, well, why bother working through a disagreement with a real person?
Right.
When I can just tweak my preferences.
And find someone who's seemingly perfect.
Right. And avoid that discomfort.
Right. It's like we're being conditioned to seek out this frictionless, idealized connection.
Which isn't real.
It doesn't exist.
Right. Relationships are messy.
They are.
And they're work.
But they're also rewarding.
Exactly. And then there's the even bigger concern about what happens when we start outsourcing intimacy to AI.
Right. This is where it gets really tricky.
Yeah.
Because if we're finding comfort and companionship in these AI that are programmed to please us, are we going to lose our ability to empathize?
Oh, that's a really good point.
To understand and respond to the needs of another human being.
Because we're not getting that practice with AI.
And we came across a really thought-provoking quote from a sociologist.
Okay.
That I think sums this up perfectly.
Let's hear it.
They said, technology mirrors our desires. The question isn't whether AI can love us. It's whether we'll demand less from each other.
Wow. That's deep.
It is.
I mean, it really shifts the focus, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not about what the technology can do.
Right.
It's about us.
It's about our expectations.
What we're willing to put in.
Exactly.
And what we really value in a connection.
Do we want the easy way out?
Yeah.
Or do we want something real?
Even if it's messy.
Even if it's hard.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, we come back to this big question. Is AI in dating and relationships rewriting the rules of romance?
Right.
Or is it just holding up a mirror to what's already happening?
It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, there's no denying that technology can help us connect. It can help us meet new people.
And it can provide support.
Absolutely.
But there's also this danger of becoming too reliant on it.
Of taking the easy way out.
Right, and choosing the quick fix over the real deal.
Exactly.
So listener, the next time you open that dating app, or you find yourself thinking about talking to an AI companion,
take a moment.
Ask yourself, what am I really looking for?
Am I looking for a shortcut to love?
Yeah, a way to avoid getting hurt.
Right.
Or am I willing to do the work?
To be vulnerable.
To embrace the messiness of real human connection.
Exactly.
Because let's face it, that's where the real beauty lies.
It is.
This is an ongoing conversation.
It is.
And we're going to keep exploring these topics.
Absolutely.
In future deep dives. So make sure to subscribe.
Yes, stay tuned.
So you don't miss out.
We'll be back.
Until then, stay curious.
Yes.
And keep those real world connections strong.
Absolutely. Those are the ones that matter.